Overweight black man harassed by police. They didn't know he set them up. The summer heat clings to the streets of Philadelphia, where the neon glow of a convenience store cuts through the evening haze. Calvin Reed, a 45-year-old black man, steps out of his car, his 300-pound frame moving with deliberate calm. A successful civil rights lawyer with a knack for strategy, Calvin is no stranger to prejudice, racial, weight-based, or both. Tonight, he's not just running an errand. He's setting a trap. His dashcam is rolling, his phone's audio recorder is on, and a friend waits nearby with a live stream ready to go. As Calvin approaches the store, two police officers pull up, their cruisers' lights flashing. "Hey, big guy, where you headed?" one calls out, his tone laced with mockery. Within minutes, their harassment escalates, rooted in stereotypes about Calvin's race and size. What they don't know is that Calvin planned this moment, and their actions will soon cost them their badges, and spark a citywide reckoning. This is the story of a man who turned bias into a weapon, proving that the smartest revenge is justice. Calvin Reed is a master of turning the tables. Raised in North Philly, he faced taunts for his weight and skin color but channeled that pain into a law degree from Temple University. Now, he's a partner at a firm known for taking on police misconduct cases. For months, he's heard complaints about officers Derek Holt and Michael Vega, who patrol his neighborhood with a history of targeting black men. Community members report stops based on flimsy pretexts, often laced with insults about appearance. Calvin decides to test their behavior himself. Tonight, he parks near a store known for frequent police stops. He's dressed casually, jeans, a t-shirt, and sneakers, to blend in, but his car's dashcam and phone are recording. As expected, Holt and Vega approach. "You look out of place," Holt says, smirking. "What's a guy like you doing here?" Vega adds, "Maybe lay off the snacks, huh?" The jabs at Calvin's weight sting, but the racial undertone, implying he's a criminal, cuts deeper. When Calvin questions the stop, Holt demands his ID, claiming he matches a suspect description. It's a lie, and Calvin knows it. He complies calmly, knowing every word is recorded. Vega shoves him against the car, cuffing him for resisting, though Calvin's hands are raised. A small crowd gathers, and Calvin's friend, Tasha, a local activist, starts streaming on X. The video captures Holt's sneer and Vega's slur, "Fat thug" muttered just loud enough for the mic to catch. By the time Calvin is released without charges, the stream has 10,000 views, and #PhillyPoliceBias is trending. Back at his office, Calvin reviews the footage with his legal team, including his paralegal, Jamal, a former client who escaped a wrongful arrest thanks to Calvin's work. The dashcam, phone audio, and Tasha's stream provide airtight evidence of misconduct. Calvin's plan was simple but brilliant: provoke a stop in a controlled setting, knowing Holt and Vega's history would lead to bias-fueled harassment. He parked in a high-visibility spot, ensured multiple recordings, and coordinated with Tasha to amplify the incident. The X video explodes, hitting 2 million views in 24 hours. Local news, then national outlets like NBC and the New York Times, cover the story. Protests erupt outside the Philadelphia Police Department, with signs reading "No more bias stops." Calvin holds a press conference, flanked by community leaders. "This wasn't about me," he says. "It's about every black man stopped for existing. I set this up to show the truth, and now we demand change." Holt and Vega are suspended, but they dig in, claiming Calvin provoked them. The department's initial response, a vague promise to investigate, only fuels the outrage. Calvin's teenage daughter, Nia, watches the video with tears in her eyes. "Why do they hate us, Dad?" she asks. Calvin hugs her, vowing, "They won't win. Not this time." Calvin files a federal lawsuit against the city, Holt, and Vega, alleging racial profiling and excessive force. His evidence is overwhelming. The recordings show no provocation, only bias. He also uncovers internal records, obtained through a whistleblower cop, showing Holt and Vega's pattern of targeting black men, with 15 complaints over 5 years, none disciplined. The whistleblower, Officer Lena Carter, risks her career to testify, driven by guilt over staying silent too long. The trial grips the city. Calvin's team paints a vivid picture: a respected lawyer, deliberately targeted for his race and size, exposing a broken system. The defense argues Calvin entrapped the officers, but the jury isn't swayed. The viral video, combined with Carter's testimony, leads to a landmark ruling: Holt and Vega are fired, fined, and barred from law enforcement. The city settles for $5 million, which Calvin donates to a fund for police reform. More importantly, the case forces policy changes. Philadelphia's mayor, under pressure from protests and Calvin's high-profile win, announces a civilian oversight board, mandatory body cams, and bias training with teeth. Officers with repeated complaints face termination. Calvin consults on the reforms, pushing for community-led policing models. The victory isn't cheap. Calvin faces death threats, and his firm hires security after vandalism. Nia, struggling with the public scrutiny, starts a journal to process her fears, which Calvin encourages her to share online. Her posts, raw and honest, go viral on X, inspiring other teens to speak out. Tasha's activism grows, but she faces harassment, too, prompting Calvin to fund her nonprofit, Justice Stream, which trains communities to document police encounters. Holt and Vega spiral. Holt, defiant, tries to rally support on fringe platforms, but his career is over. Vega, quieter, moves out of state, haunted by his actions. Officer Carter, ostracized by some colleagues, finds purpose mentoring young cops. She tells Calvin, "You showed me I could do more than follow orders." At home, Calvin grapples with the toll. His weight, a lifelong source of insecurity, feels weaponized by the officer's taunts. Aisha, his ex-wife and a therapist, reminds him, "You're more than their stereotypes. You're a hero." Calvin starts a fitness journey, not for them, but for himself and Nia. Calvin's setup reverberates. A 2025 DOJ report notes that 70% of major U.S. police departments have adopted stricter oversight since 2020, citing cases like Calvin's. On X, hashtag Philly police bias evolves into hashtag Record Your Rights, a movement encouraging citizens to document stops. Calvin's fund supports legal aid for profiling victims, and his firm takes on pro bono cases nationwide. The broader impact is cultural. Black men share stories of being stereotyped for their size or appearance, sparking conversations about intersectional bias. Calvin speaks at TED, his talk, The Power of Being Seen, viewed millions of times. Nia's journal becomes a book, with proceeds funding scholarships for Black youth. Tasha's nonprofit trains thousands, empowering communities to hold police accountable. Calvin's story isn't just about one man or one stop. It's about a system that profiles based on race and body, where Black Americans are 3 times more likely to be stopped than whites, per a 2024 ACLU study. His setup exposed that truth, turning a moment of humiliation into a catalyst for change. He didn't just catch 2 cops, he caught a city's attention. The cost was heavy. Calvin still checks his car's locks, and Nia carries the weight of public eyes. But hope shines through, in Carter's courage, in Tasha's mission, in Nia's voice. Calvin's victory wasn't just outsmarting the police, it was showing the world that justice starts with seeing the truth. Calvin Reed didn't walk into that store to start a revolution. He just wanted to buy a soda. But when officers Holt and Vega harassed him, he was ready. With a dashcam, a phone, and a plan, he turned their bias into their downfall. This is a story of strategy, strength, and systemic change. It's a reminder that when the world tries to push you down, you don't just stand up, you set the board and win the game.